What's up, YouTube? Rich UX here from the Rich+Niche Academy, back with another freelance marketing student success story. I'm joined today by Jade from Denver, Colorado. Welcome to the channel, Jade.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you give our audience a quick background? How did you become a freelance marketer?
Um, well, I've been a freelance marketer for a couple years now. I actually came across your channel for it was during COVID. Actually, I was a server prior, and made the switch by watching. I think it was one of your popular YouTube videos, "How to Become a Digital Marketer in 2020." So yeah, came across the channel, joined the Discord, made a profile on Upwork, and found my own clients. So it's
How
been
old were you when you got started at that time in COVID?
I was 18.
18. So I think that's pretty unique. A lot of my students aren't that young. So how did you even get the idea that marketing would be a good idea at that age? Like, how did you clue in on that?
Honestly, I just wanted flexibility. I was working long hours as a server and I didn't really have any direction in my life. I just wanted to try something new, and remote was very popular at that time, being remote. Um, so yeah, I just kind of took a leap of faith.
Would you say that like being that young, you had an advantage to like not really know like the risks or the downsides?
Yeah, I was I was definitely delusional. Um, but I was lucky enough to find you guys. I feel like having a supportive community really helped me navigate exactly what you need in order to succeed. So um, yeah, it's great.
So is it fair to say that like the content I've put out, my courses, that's your only marketing education, or have you gone on to skill up in other areas with other trainings? Describe that a bit for people.
So I started with you. I kind of branched off into pay-per-click advertising. I met a freelancer locally, and she was doing paid ads. And she recommended I do the Google Ads certification. So that's kind of how I branched off into my own niche. Um, got the Google certifications, found some clients off of Upwork who are service-based business owners, and yeah, I've kind of stayed within that niche.
So you specialize in paid advertising, Google Ads, what else?
Google Ads, and then I branched off into web development. The clients that I worked with in the beginning, they needed more than just paid ads, so did a little bit of web development for them, email marketing, um, and yeah, that's kind of how I did my OPMA.
Yeah, before we jump deeper into that OPMA and how you might be utilizing it, I'm just so curious. So around 15, 16 years old, were you on social media already?
Yes, yes, I was.
What platforms were you using in your high school years?
Oh gosh, Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. Tumblr was a big one.
Yeah, I used to love Tumblr. Great, great platform. It's a shame it had a very good method of serving content. Definitely pre-AI. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, okay. So I'm just so confused, like how you realized you could like get paid for this at such a young age. So many of our marketers have worked in agencies before, they had in-house jobs before, they were successful in social media to some capacity. Like what was giving you the confidence and drive to like ask for fees to do this kind of stuff?
You know, I think the more knowledge that I suck out, the more I educated myself, the more books that I read, it really helped me get a grasp on what it is like to service clients, what it's like to have your own freelance business. Um, like your programs have really helped me a lot. I was in your cohort a couple of years ago, so that really helped frame my brain on not just being a freelancer, but being a business owner. So worn a lot of hats too. So just the more experience, I feel like the more real life experience that I got um, helped me navigate a lot of things. And networking was a big one too. Actually being face to face with business owners, and even if you're not a freelancer quite yet, just understanding what their pain points are, and how they like to talk and what they like to talk about, kind of helped me become a chameleon in that sense, if that makes sense.
Were your parents entrepreneurial at all? Did they give you some sense to do this? Or were you going to counter to what they wanted for you?
No, actually, I kind of grew up in a unique household. My grandparents raised me. Um, yeah, didn't really have a close connection with my father. Mother passed away when I was young, so
Mm.
yeah, it was a unique family setup. I think growing up struggling definitely helped me build up that entrepreneurial spirit so I can kind of break out of that.
Did you have any side hustles growing up? Did you have to go to the markets at all? Did you do anything, or how did you kind of beat that
Mm,
and get ahead?
that's a good question. My side hustle was I sold things off of eBay.
Mhm,
um, yeah, I did that, and then I also um, was a nanny, so
mhm.
did that for a while. Pet sat, just service things.
It's very interesting. I also sold things on eBay when I was in high school, and I think it's a gateway to seeing transactions online. And then you start getting curious about like, well, how could I sell something where it's almost free, or can I make something, or how can I have my own product? So I think that's very interesting that you were at least tapping into the digital sales world. Cool. So a bit of a struggle coming up, not tons of the support you might need, but gaining a bit of a hustle mindset, gaining a bit of an underdog mindset. Now you're here. So you've been freelancing for a bit, but you've also worked with agencies, or just agencies are your clients?
A mix of both. So I have my own clients, and then I also service agencies.
So in that
Yeah.
case, do they think you're an employee, or you're like a subcontractor they need when they want you on demand, sort of?
I'm definitely a subcontractor. I I work with them consistently though, so I work on their portfolio of clients, and we have a pretty good relationship. Um, so yeah, kind of like an employee in a sense, but they're aware that I have my own clients and I do my own thing. So I definitely don't have I prioritize other clients as well. I don't just have one specific one.
Well, tell us a little bit about how you've come up and navigated. Like, was it good to work with agencies? Do you wish you did something different? Do you wish you got clients sooner? Did it work well the way you did it?
Yeah, I mean, I started off with agencies. So like in the beginning, I had my own clients, and then the agency work was when I gained most of my experience. So, yeah, working with agencies, I would say, is a good path forward, just so you understand the setup and how to actually service these clients, and what your typical day to day is too. I found it was very valuable, especially since the agency owner kind of directed me on what to do, so I can go out and branch out and do my own thing. I made a lot of mistakes. Did make a lot of mistakes, but I was thankful enough to have someone that was understanding, and I was very transparent with them in the beginning too. I laid it all out on the line. I was like, I'm really new. I have these Google certifications, um, but I want to help you. I think I led with wanting to help and adding value, and so that kind of took me very far in a sense.
Maybe describe one of your biggest obstacles in the last couple of years, whether that's with working with agency and learning how to communicate, whether that's navigating challenging clients or personal development of certain aspects. What's something that kind of was challenging?
Oh gosh, it still is challenging. I would say sales. I'm not good at sales.
Mhm.
I and I think I'm navigating that too. I have a couple of sales calls next week, um, going through trainings and trying to figure out how to present myself and exactly what I'm offering. And I know you, Rich, you're big on walking them through the logical solution, and I'm trying to figure out the questions that I need in order to do that. But yeah, I would say not knowing sales earlier kind of it blocked me in a sense. It kind of stalled my career. And I feel like I'm at a point now where I'm able to combat that, and I'm able to actually face that fear, because I feel like sales, it's a fear of being perceived for me. and the fear of not knowing what I'm doing, especially since I'm so young. So now I'm 23 now. It was a lot. It was a lot worse when I was 18. But yeah, I would say sales, and I'm trying to combat that by just learning about how to close and how to ask the right questions.
Yes, sales is really a never-ending skill to develop, and it's really one of the most powerful ones. It does take a lifetime to get the reps. You can't just go through 10 sales calls today if you wanted to. There's that whole process of booking those calls. So if you haven't, check out my new module called the MRI. It's in the OPMA online course. It's a new strategy around booking calls that are much more inquisitive rather than sales, and it allows you to get a different perspective from the client, and then you can kind of flip it into sales, because then it's really logical to them because they basically just spilled their heart out, not realizing they were on a potential sales call. So I call it MRI, market research interview, also like x-ray scanning your clients. Very powerful. And I was just talking today in the champion mastermind about sales changes, right? It's not going to be the same forever. Just like door to door isn't here anymore. AI is coming. What are people's expectations? So as a business owner, you really have to stay tapped in and keep evolving there. So never ending skilling up there. Talk to us about your day to day. What is it like now? I mean, I think you said you were a server before. So how much did you used to work on average? How much are you working these days? What kind of work? What does your day look like?
Yeah. So when I was a server, I was working like 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week. Um, Definitely a lot less now. I would say I'm working a little less than 40 hours, like 30 at most. Um, I start off with, so I'm in a position right now where I'm trying to get more clients, trying to put my name out there. So I start off my day with client acquisition. Um, I found Reddit is actually pretty good for finding leads. I posted on the Success Win Brag Discord, this post sharing my experience with this towing company, and that's why I have these sales calls. I think I had like 5 people respond, which was nice. So I start off my day with client acquisition, and then just listing out what I need to do for the day for my client work. I still work with an agency, so we have a lot of campaigns that we're running. We just had a lot of busy weeks, especially because of the holidays. So I list out what the goals are for the campaign, try to collect and create any ad creative that I need. They have a market research audit or report that I can look at just so I can make sure that my campaigns are in line with the people we're trying to target. And yeah, I go on Slack, talk to my coworkers a little bit, check in with clients if needed, try to take at least a phone call or two throughout the week just so I can check in, make sure that we're meeting our KPIs and deliverables. So it's very client facing. But yeah, I trying to think anything else. That's pretty much it. I think I'm trying to improve my client communication skills. We just had a client drop off because that's part of the reason why I want to move away from my agency too, because we had him drop off because I was the only person that was communicating with him, and he was under the impression that I was the only person that was on his account. So he was like, yeah, I think I need to go with a different agency because Jade seems to be the only person that is available. So that's been a huge challenge working with this agency, just having that communication, having people stay consistent with their clientele, which is funny. I feel like I've taken over a lot of ownership with the clients that they have currently.
Well, what I can extrapolate from that is that what you've learned in our programs has made you a stronger client-facing professional than most are out there. That's terrific. Let
Yeah,
me switch it
definitely.
up on you a bit, but let's talk about a little bit about remote life, travel. You're a young person. You must have some aspirations to leave the United States and explore the world. Is that on your mind at all?
Oh yes, actually, I'm excited. I just booked my first solo Thailand trip for March. I'm gonna be out there for three weeks. Sorry. Yeah.
That's
I
fantastic.
I've left the US twice now. I have this goal for 2025. I want to travel more. Haven't really taken advantage of being remote as much as I'd like. I'm into going to shows and festivals, so I've been traveling inside of the U.S., just
Mhm.
making friends, and yeah, this lifestyle has offered me so much flexibility. Have so many friends out in different states, and it's nice um, making those connections and meeting new people.
What made you choose Thailand?
I've just always heard that it's good for digital nomads and trying out solo traveling because it's safe and fun, and the people there are kind. So, um, and I love Thai food too. So I'm excited to try that.
Yep, that sounds pretty good. You have the alluring islands, that are just outside of the main Phuket area. You have the Phi Phi Islands where they film the beach. But of course, the most famous digital nomad region is Chiang Mai, which is more north. And I visited both, and they're very, very different, completely different flow. One is very touristy, one is much more normal living. They're both worth exploring. And there's also one more place that's about 3 hours north of Chiang Mai. It's called Pai, Pai. It's also an excellent place to travel, very quaint, street markets, simple. You get a lot of Airbnbs up there. You take the most wild ride to get there. It's the most winding road through the jungle, but it's quite an experience. So you've chosen a great country to start, and I look forward to hearing about those journeys.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm island hopping, so I'm flying into Bangkok and then going to Chiang Mai and Pai too, and a few others. So, yeah, I'm excited. You described it really well.
Perfect. Yeah, he's been there before, guys. I've just booked myself to Paraguay in April, and just reflecting on my Airbnb profile, like how many places I've been, it's pretty awesome. I was looking at my passport; it's so full. Um, yeah, it's a very fulfilling lifestyle to explore at your own pace. And if you haven't done so already, and I was just talking about this morning, is making sure you're laptop friendly, right? Don't build yourself a crazy studio so that you can't work when you're away. I keep it so simple. And some of my quality is on my videos, it's not perfect. I don't always use an SLR. I don't always have a great mic. I don't always have a light with me. Well, trade-offs, like you only live once. And I would hate to have to lug around tons of equipment everywhere, be scared of losing it. So I really recommend a very minimalist approach and accepting that. And yeah, I think you're in the phase of exploration still. I'm more in the phase of I get to choose where I want to live for the next 5 to 10 years to raise my family. I get all the choices because I'm remote. For you, it's go as many places you can, see the world, meet people, see what that's like, gain, different perspectives. But in the end, it's just about the flexibility. It's not about constantly moving because that does become difficult as you get older, especially if you have children. So do it now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Before we
difficult
get
if you
off,
have a dog too. I just turned my dog into a service animal so she can travel with me. So I'm excited about that too.
yeah, I see a lot of dogs on planes these days, more than I used to. So that's fun. Um, Once you have a dog, what can you do, right? You got to kind of play that out, and that's life. But before we get off travel, I just was curious. Okay, Thailand. What else is on a young person's mind? Where else would you potentially go to that you've considered?
I haven't thought about that yet. I
Yeah.
think I want to get used to traveling for long periods of time, and then I'm very like do as you go, one step at a time. So definitely want to travel Europe. I've solo traveled once. I went to Mexico. Um, that was different though. I was there for a festival, and I met a lot of people who were doing the same thing.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, this will be my second time solo traveling. So I think I'm just at a stage where I'm trying to get used to being away and also working remotely to working out of the country and having to deal with that time difference too. So
Yeah.
that's going to be another challenge. My friends were like flabbergasted that I wanted to work while on this trip. I'm like, well, that's the whole point. I told you guys I want to move away. I'm gonna have to work eventually while I'm in a different country. But they were
Yeah.
like, no, no, don't take your computer. Don't take your
Isn't
computer,
that
just
interesting? Isn't that interesting? You have the unlock to unlimited adventure, but some other people perceive it as that's not fun and you should just work a normal job and take a pre-programmed vacation for 2 weeks a year and that's it and call it a day. I don't know. That's pretty interesting. I think it's always fascinating to see people who are not approaching the entrepreneur lifestyle, like how they perceive each part of life, whether that's commuting, traveling, family, like it's perceived differently based on the benefits you have. To a very busy person, having a child may seem very, very scary. To someone who can work from home, it might seem very imbalanced and works well. So we should never underestimate the power of what we're creating. Let's talk about Rich+Niche a little bit. You've been with us for a while. You obviously are fond of the programs, but maybe for people who aren't out there, like, can you describe what our educational process sort of feels like, how it directly helped you reach these goals?
of course, yeah. So I was in the cohort. So I took your courses prior and then I took your cohort, and it was very like hands-on learning. I remember we audited real businesses. We were able to get on calls with you and then kind of understand the process of market research, getting on a call, finalizing your offer, understanding where it's really just treating yourself as your own client. And I think that's the main thing that I've extrapolated from Rich+Niche is really treating yourself as a business owner, and um, just being able to put yourself out there too. So yeah, the courses were really helpful. I would say the main thing that I've gained from this is the community aspect, the Discord, being able to ask questions whenever you're stumped on something, because in this industry, there are so many things that you have to figure out on your own. And you can easily ask a peer or one of your friends off of Discord, and um, you don't have to feel so alone in the process. So yeah, that's been really nice. The community aspect is a huge one for me, because this industry is very, very lonely.
So is it fair to say that you came in seeking knowledge, professionalism, technical skills, but now you rely on support, accountability, friendship, community?
Yeah, absolutely. Takes a
And
village.
and would you say that we've done a good job to create like an ideal environment for freelance marketers?
Yeah, for sure. Um, Especially since you have a couple of people on the team too, like Milos. It's not just you, because you have 24 hours in the day, just like the rest of us. You're not spreading yourself thin. So we have dedicated people to ask questions too, and really help us figure out our own path.
Great. Thanks so much for sharing those things. What's one thing, this will be the last question for the day. What's one thing that is a big aha moment for you on this journey that you would pass on to someone getting started day one, just like you did once before?
I think the action piece was a huge one. Like you can learn as much as you want, but you won't really excel until you take that first step, until you actually work with someone. Um, yeah, I think I was stuck for a while, just learning as much as possible and then trying to feel ready for an actual conversation or an actual deal. Um, but I realized that day never came, and I was really, really nervous when I jumped on a sales call. I almost like crumbled. So action is a huge piece, I would say. I try to not think as much as possible. I just try to focus on tasks that are going to move me forward and build my skill set. So yeah, that was a big moment for me, because I was like, I'm not ready. I'm never going to get clients. I have to take as many courses as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think people sometimes want the feeling of, I bought this course, where's my result? And really, it's not so simple, especially starting any kind of a business. You have to create a great mindset. Your life has to be somewhat in order to get going. You have to have some self-esteem and confidence. And that's why we have such a multifaceted membership, because I don't really believe online courses alone really get the job done for most people. Even you said you joined our group cohort so that you can really sink your teeth into this and sort of go all in, so to speak, and have guidance along the way. There's just so many different pitfalls that any individual might encounter that you just want to get over them as fast as possible. And just by sharing what you're going through, like somebody's going to help you, whether it's me or another community member. And like you said, like you just have to take the action so that you can get the feedback so you know what to do next. And really, it's just a matter of one thing at a time. And if you stay dedicated and disciplined and focused, it's really possible for anyone, no matter the age, no matter the background. Did you study any special marketing things in high school, or were you able to learn as you went and sort of develop on the go?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I was studying to be a veterinarian prior, so it's quite different.
I
So
think
yeah,
that many people underestimate that social media and how we use it on a daily basis, it's not that far removed from doing that for a service. There's just a couple of professional activities and best practices to follow. And it is a viable thing. I like to tell Milos when he's on a sales call, like, if someone believes they can post a social media post and they can set up a blog post, they are able to carry on with our training and figure this all out. It's one of the most low barrier things. And I think that a lot of people like that, but then they still get caught up with, yeah, I have to take action. This is my life now. And I have to go make it happen. I can't just sit back. Well, it's been great chatting with you, Jay. That's about 30 minutes. I don't like to keep students too long, and I like to revisit in a year, see where you're at, come back on the channel. You're doing ads, you're doing OPMA, you're a freelance marketer. Where can people find more about you if they want to hire you, ask you a question, or work with you? Where can they find you?
so on LinkedIn, actually.
LinkedIn. Well, you'll have to give me your link and I will post it below. We'll find you on LinkedIn. We'll put a link below. Make sure you get that over to me. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for sharing with the audience what you've discovered and experienced as a member of Rich+Niche. And I wish you all the best in 2025.
Of course, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, Rich.
Thanks for being here, Jade. Thanks everyone for watching this video. Leave a comment below for me or Jade or anyone at Rich+Niche, and we'll get back to you. Check out our website, richandniche.com, if you want to follow the same path as Jade and check out our programs and cohorts. We'll see you guys in the next video.